Welcome to the Sixcast, a podcast where we discuss real-world strategies, tips, and stories that provide helpful insights for your digital transformation experience.
Hello, my name is Waruna. I'm the founder and CEO of Six Senses and the host of Sixcast, where we talk about technology, digital transformation, and socioeconomics. Today, we have two special guests joining our episode, Chandra and Ashish Malpani. Chandra and Ashish, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Waruna.
Yeah, glad to be here. I want to start with Chandra. Chandra, you have an incredible history of a track record of professional experience from startups, leading startups, and building technology products. So Chandra is the co-founder and CEO of Voicera.io, a sincerity and emotion AI and LLM technology. Chandra also is the CEO of MoodMe, a seasoned professional with decades of leadership experience with tech giants and startups. Chandra was born in Belgium and has traveled and worked across many countries around the world, the USA to Brazil, to UK, to Italy, Luxembourg. Right now, he's stationed in France. And thank you so much for joining in this afternoon. It's afternoon for us in Toronto and Austin. To Ashish, but I know you are connecting from a little bit later in the day in France. I really appreciate it. Chandra can speak 7 languages. That's fantastic. He has a passion for hiking, scuba diving, and exploring tropical beaches. I love it. Obviously, we always love it.
Where did you read all that?
That's given. So Chandra, thank you again for joining us today, and to share your knowledge with our audience. The first question for you is a loaded question. Tell me a bit about yourself and who are you? How's your life journey has been, and what kind of impact that you want to make in life in world?
Yeah, well, thank you. I've worked. So I'm an engineer by. I have a master in computer science. I've always been fascinated by tech. I'm talking about the 8-bit microchips and IBM XT. If you remember that, no, you were not born. So I've been in this world, and I've worked in very different types of organizations. I've worked for the European Commission, so it was an EU international body, so public sector on the buying side of technology. I've worked in very, very small companies at the beginning of my career when I was a geek writing code in assembly language in New Hampshire. And I've worked in very large companies like Northrop Grumman, TRW Systems, Software AG, multi-billion companies. And what I really love is the power of small teams. It's all about the team and the people you worked with. I've had very disappointing experiences in large companies where it's very politicized and, it depends on who likes you and what have you not. Small teams, and of course, people can come and go, but you work with the people who are the best at building something which can make an impact. We've seen it. I mean, all these startups, whether it's Microsoft, Google, and all the more recent ones, very small teams can do incredible changes to the world. And that's what is exciting me. Makes me wake up every morning excited about making an impact, building a new company, a new product that is going to change the game. I will tell more about what game we're changing here.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about your motto, TNT, today, not tomorrow.
Yes.
I have heard Jeff Bezos saying stress primarily comes from not taking action over something that you can have some control over. I think that goes along with what you believe as well. Today, not tomorrow. Sometimes the biggest stress comes from not being able to take action on things that you can take control over, not being able to do the task, or procrastination, or not being able to control your team. Tell me a bit about that.
First of all, it's not from me. It was an IP lawyer who became a friend. He quoted that it came from a bank from Silicon Valley. So a very, very dynamic mindset, of course. And it's so true. Sometimes you say, oh, I really should call customer A to see if the deal is moving, or I should call my colleague to rebuild the bridge because we are in a bad moment. and you say, I should do. And why don't you pick up the phone and do it right now? And that's it hit me once. You put a list of to do, but
Mm,
go through the list and do it, because the world belongs to the people who get stuff done. It's not about thinking. Everybody has great ideas. I mean, they come by the millions. I'm sure there are hundreds of people with the same ideas we are doing, but in the end, it's about doing, and doing fast. More than anything in tech and in AI, the windows of opportunities are small. So the sense of urgency, and it's not obvious to create that all the time, without entering into the panic mode. Oh, if we don't ship tomorrow, we're dead. No, it's not that. But the windows of opportunities are very small. So we need to get stuff done well, but not perfectly. Otherwise, we never get it done. And
yeah.
fast. Fast is very important.
So that's a critical point that you're raising there. You're saying you don't have to be a perfectionist, but you got to get things done fast. You got to get the MVP out of the way, or some sort of a POC out of the way,
Yeah.
as opposed to waiting for the full-blown solution in this fast-tracked
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, totally. I mean, perfection for me is very dangerous, because we can always over-engineer products. I've worked in a tech company from Germany. I joined it. It was Software AG. Software AG. You imagine the name Software AG. So
Right.
the company was born in '69, and they could have owned the world. They were before Oracle creating the best database. They were before Microsoft creating a language like BASIC. They could have been a $1 trillion company, and they were a $500 million company.
Right.
And they were the neighbor of SAP, which was on its way to become a giant. And so they were the CEO. The new CEO joined, and was super bright man, and he said, over-engineered product. His big diagnosis of the company was over-engineered products with features that no customers wanted. And it really hit me. And the company in 4 years doubled market cap, and I was very successful there, hitting double of my sales target, so made good money too. But what I really learned is that we have to be very, very careful about the feature creep. We can all think of amazing feature, then you push it on the bucket list of the engineers, and we don't have too many engineers right now. So it's shipping dates get extended, and then you hit the so this perfection is very dangerous. We need to be able to find the right balance between shipping a crappy product. We don't want to do that, but
Mhm.
shipping the perfect product, we're going to be dead by when we get there. So it's always a delicate balance. um,
So,
yeah.
so you're thinking that you're proposing that you need to have a perfect balance. You want to get something done in a proficient manner without having to really perfect it. But do you believe in process?
Process.
Yes.
Yeah, to a certain level, not like the big corporations, but oh yeah, a bit of process is necessary, of course, but it's more about people communicating well. Humans communicating well is you can have the best process and still things can fall through the cracks. So in the end, it's about having a united team,
Right.
moving fast, connecting with each other, trying to clarify everything fast. More
Right.
than building process. We're a bit early. I know that at some point processes are very important, but here it's more about getting stuff done as a team, rolling up our sleeves and talking to each other.
Right. I have a kind of segue to that question. I wanted to introduce Ashish as well. Let me introduce Ashish. Thank you again, Ashish, for joining us today. You have an exceptional professional background as a technical marketing director at Dell to global head of Progress Software. And let me give a quick intro about Ashish. He is a builder, storyteller, and a visionary marketing leader with impressive 2.5 decade of track record. Again, we have two great professionals with lots of experience here today, and I'm truly honored to have both of you. Ashish has held many marketing and product leadership roles across industry-leading organizations such as Progress Software, Deepwatch, HID Global, Dell Technologies. He has an MBA from University of Texas, where I think we're from Austin, and an MSc from Purdue University as well. So Ashish, I want to connect my next question to Chandra's previous comment. But before that, tell me a bit about yourself. What's your life journey has been, and what is your impact that you're trying to make in the world?
Sure. Again, thank you, Waruna, for having us. You kind of when I look at my journey, I look at kind of three different chapters, right? I started, did my undergrad in computer engineering, started on more as an applications engineer, and kind of grew in that role, really working closely with customers, helping them deploy the technology, and then transition into more of a product management function, led product management teams, and then I asked myself, I mean, what is that I love doing the most, right? And the answer was I want to be close to the customer, and I'm the storyteller, and that function happened to be product marketing, and that's how when I got after I got my MBA, I moved into a product marketing role, and last several years I've been building and growing product marketing teams. And when I look at kind of the impact overall, it's kind of a couple of things for me, right? One is, yes, as we look at our existing business relationships, communications, I mean, it's not that we are now, it's not just a one communication. It's not that you are buying something and forgetting about it, right? I mean, today the interaction with the brands has far more reaching. I mean, it expands beyond the simple like buying transaction. You continue to engage with the brand, work with them, and this is kind of now we're calling it life cycle marketing or life cycle revenue marketing. But I mean, this is from not for an organization. It's very easy to kind of retain the customer that they've won and get more business rather than winning a new customer. So you know as you look at the business and the customer interactions are changing, and I think for me, it's not just what's selling on the truck, but what's the overall story, right? How I as a as an organization helping my customers grow their businesses, grow what they want to achieve in life with by offering the right products and solutions, and not just at one point, but as a longer period. And that's what I'm trying to kind of really focus on, is how we can impact that customer communication, how build that trust with the customers, build that relationship that not only our partners but our customers and beyond. I mean, contractors that we work with, you know, kind of come to trust us and kind of really look at us as a partner in their growth journey.
Great. Thank you, Ashish. I want to go back to Chandra's comment about being agile and getting things done without having to really follow a strict process and without having to seek perfectionism. Uh, you have a global team, I have a global team, and one of the challenges that I am facing is misalignment of time zones and schedules and flexibility. And we are moving ourselves a little bit away from technology and talking about more culture and operational success within businesses, small teams. How have you achieved the success? What are the challenges that you have faced? And what are the recommendations? And this is mostly for me as well. We have teams probably in about 5 different time zones. Some of them are a couple of hours different, from to 10 hours to 17 hours across the globe sometimes. And that has been a challenge, especially as of late, when we are trying to push our business to be a little bit more bigger and then grow our business. What are the challenges that you have faced, and what are the reparations that you have come up with to solve that gap and to get things done in a proficient manner and efficiently?
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to that, right? In my kind of last role, I had team that kind of from Sydney all the way to San Diego, California. I mean, there was not a single time zone that worked for everybody, right? I mean, so there was no team meeting where everybody was present. I mean, the only time we did that was when we all of us physically flew to like Bulgaria to kind of meet with each other. But what I found works is really, when you look at the broad spectrum, right? I mean, you are like everybody has their own areas where whether they are subject matter experts or whether what they're focusing on. I mean, whether it's a product, whether it's portfolio, whether it's kind of go to market strategy. But as a leader, you need to kind of paint that strategy in black and white, right? To really understand what is that we are going to accomplish, let's say for the first half of the year. I mean, and for me, the impact when you look at from a marketing perspective, right? What is the impact of marketing? whether it's brand recognition, whether it's generating new kind of business or MQLs, whether it's really driving product launches, whether it's sales enablement, whether it's thought leadership, right? There are all these different kind of buckets where we are kind of measuring the impact of our teams. But then it's not just enough to measure that impact, but you have to really nail down saying, okay, here are the top level business objectives. What does that mean for us as a team? What is that I'm going to get measured on, and what is that my individual team members are going to get measured on, and it has to be transparent, right? I mean, I've really taken whatever my objectives were and make sure that everybody can align their objectives to this, and it's pretty transparent for anybody to see, and that's what helped build that kind of camaraderie, and then really kind of in an openness culture where everybody knows what other person is working on, so they are not feeling that, hey, I'm carrying too much load or somebody else is not pulling their weight. And same thing for me, I have the visibility and make sure that every when I have individual conversations with team members, I mean, they can understand what what is that what are my priorities, and how are these priorities translated into their own workload. And then if you have that mapping that's across the team where everybody can see it, everybody can understand it, everybody knows how we are making progress towards it, that makes it easier, and then really efficient for the team members.
So you're talking about having a visibility, which is a transparency, having clear goals, alignment on the business objectives, and measurements
Mm-hmm.
of your activity. It's not necessarily performance measurements. It's more like activity measurements. It doesn't have to be always performing where people just deliver
Yeah, I
something.
mean, it can be as simple as, I mean, it doesn't have to be like revenue targets all the time, right? You can measure like brand awareness. Maybe the goal for brand awareness is increasing your social media following, increasing your number of kind of outreach activities that you do, right? I mean, so maybe there is measure like that. I mean, when you look at kind of what are we doing from enabling the sales team, right? We make sure that 80% of the sales team members can articulate and kind of pitch back whatever you've delivered to them. So there are
Mhm.
kind of measures that you can put in place and kind of evaluate against and see whether you have achieved the goals that you set out for when you started doing this activity.
Uh, that's excellent. And in other words, you're looking at people's not necessarily performance. You're seeing whether they're doing their work,
Yeah, I mean, it's actual impact of the work. It's not, yeah,
impact of the
yeah.
work. And let me make it a little bit more complex in terms of in terms of collaboration and delivery. Now, do you expect them to work cross-functionally? Do you share talent across multiple teams, or do you want people to just do one specific task? And especially now, things got really blurred over the past few years. What you do, people in product management go to a little bit more marketing and development activities and operations. Our business, especially, we have some client servicing. They go into marketing sometimes. Marketing people tend to go into more low-code work. So we have some overlaps, and that has created some benefit. At the same time, there are some challenges as well. How does that work with you, with your teams?
Yeah, and then ultimately, are you going to be able to contribute to that role? Like, I have, let's say, I have an engineering degree in an undergrad and masters, but if I go back and say that I want to go back to coding, I'm going to be pretty bad at coding because I haven't done it in 25 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's then, that request, like, doesn't is not probably something that I should be honoring. But, apart from those things, yes, I mean, as long as it's going to help you grow professionally, help you understand the other aspects of business, other aspects of the function that you're representing, I think I would definitely encourage that and make sure that my team members get that exposure, get that visibility.
Perfect. Let's talk about Voicera. What is this product? How does it solve business problems? Ashish or Chandra, either way.
Yeah. So I think for us, the fundamental issue, right? And if you look at, you know, if you remember somebody saying, "Oh, I can read people," right? I mean, that was the, I mean, and then I mean, they would come back and tell you, like, this person is doing this. You remember buying your first car, and maybe you made a bad negotiation back then, right? I mean, and you still remember it because whatever happened. And then when you hear from people like this, like, I can read people, then you are wondering, how can I get better? And then this was true when the world was physical, right? When you're meeting somebody in face to face, shaking hands with them, seeing their body language, seeing their gestures, and really parsing and kind of trying to make the connection, and really relay or understanding the trustworthiness or sincerity of this communication. I'm talking to you, you are looking in the eye, you are giving me some, kind of, and it's your, from your body language to how you're speaking, this is how we are building trust. But as the communication has gone digital, this problem has become worse, right? I mean, first of all, I mean, we did not, I mean, reading people aside, I mean, now we are only limited to this, whatever, 5 by 5 window where
Yeah.
we are, whether sometimes you see the face, sometimes, the face is invisible because there are camera issues. There are, technology prevents us from doing all this. So how do you ensure that you are working with somebody who you can trust? I mean, whether it's a customer, whether it's partner, whether it's a potential kind of client, where so that's, I think that's still is a biggest challenge that we have as the communications have moved to digital side. And if you do not have trust, then you are going to kind of double check, triple check your decisions. You're going to reevaluate whether I should do this, and you're going to waste too much time going down this path to before you can make the right choice. So we believe that, I mean, it shouldn't be hard when you have the intelligence, when now, as we look at the advances that we have made from AI perspective, this problem can be solved with the right tools there, if they're in place, where you can look at somebody's just audio record, or audio and video combined, really understand whether I am saying something, and if I have the right intent behind it, whether I am speaking of this with the right sincerity, or you know and a lot of this is not, I mean, it's art and science combined, right? So it's not like you're looking and gonna have an algorithm says, okay, somebody rolling the eyes, maybe X, or somebody looking this way versus that way, you got to do this. I mean, a lot of this also is how, as humans, we determine how we trust somebody, and then really taking that aspect and kind of implementing that, and as a technology with the help of AI. And I think this is where we believe we can solve the problem of trust in the business communication. So whether you are looking to hire somebody, whether you are looking to decide as a lawyer whether the client that just walked in, do you believe in their testimony, whether whether somebody's giving you a testimony in a trial, and whether you want to question, like, okay, where should I focus and really find kind of inconsistencies in what they're saying. I mean, so there are all these different opportunities where this technology can be used, and we believe that as we look at Voicera, I mean, that's what our goal is, right? As Voicera, we want to improve the trust in business communications, and then with that, it's not like doing a lie detection. I mean, that's not the goal is, right? The goal is to really help narrow down where you want to focus, right? I mean, for example, one of our kind of pilot customers, I mean, they're looking at, I mean, as a lawyer, I'm looking at hundreds of hours of deposition, and I look at, and I'm trying to take notes. It is time consuming, it's expensive, it's just, painful. Instead of doing that, if I know, like, okay, out of this 1 hour testimony, here are probably the 2 5 minute segments that are the most interesting ones, where whatever the testimonial is delivering, and it's inconsistent with the rest of it, then I know where to look for. And that just minimizes, simplifies my workflow, and where I can work more efficiently, much more cost effective way, while improving kind of the trust in the communication.
Excellent. So that's not only the voice, it's the visuals as well.
Yeah, your facial expressions, how you deliver, your modulation. I mean, we can we can, as I said, if the camera is not working, we can just go do analysis on the audio itself. Right? So there
Right.
are various different ways we can analyze the authenticity or sincerity of a communication, and that is what sets us apart from everybody else who's trying to solve something similar.
There is an incredible technology, especially in this age of all virtual. You're hiring people, you're working with people, you're working with teams. Could be you're selling a product to a client. You're putting weeks long engineering work to close a business, and you want to know whether the client is really interested in your project proposal, whether your employee you're hiring from, let's say, Indonesia, is the one that aligns with the values of your company, and can they what they say do, can they do what they say that they
No, I
can do?
mean, how many times have you come across, you look at a resume and say that, okay, there is no way somebody could have accomplished all of this in 5
Yes.
years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so there are, of course, we all tend to kind of put a marketing spin on the resume to make it
Yeah.
sound better,
Puff it up.
right?
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that it catches the eye of the recruiter, the hiring manager.
Yeah.
But there is one thing to do, put a marketing spin, but there is something to say what we call is a deception, or active deception, when somebody's actively trying to say something different than what you expect them to do. And so the other aspect of what Voicera can do is deception detection, right? Where really understand if somebody's actively trying to manipulate you, actively trying to misinform or misguide you as they are speaking, as they are delivering their message.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just imagine, I was buying a car about 2 years ago. This particular car was not available in the market. I had to call about maybe 5 dealerships across Ontario, and some of them said, sorry sir, I can't sell this product to you, you are too far out, about 400 kilometers out. And this happened to me with about 2 or 3 dealerships, and then another one I said, I want you to come down and see the car, because I don't want to sell it over the phone. Now, just imagine having that communication authenticated through some sort of a technology. I wouldn't have to drive 2 hours or to the other side of the city to look at the car, which I may or may not get. In the virtual world, that this is something that we can really fix fast. It's not about technology. Sorry, it's not about selling a technology. It's not about selling a software development proposal. You're selling a car. You're looking at selling real estate market.
Yeah, I mean,
I know it's a little down now, but it will pick up.
Chandra is, in fact, I mean, he can tell you, I mean, all the different use cases that we've talked about, right? And then we have explored.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and keep in mind we're positioning the product as a decision support system. And we're not saying you are lying or you're telling the truth. We're not doing fact checking. And it's only about the non-verbal communication that we interpret by coding in AI these behavioral psychology kind of, you know, symptoms. I mean, psychologists know and FBI profilers know when a person is not telling the truth, or at least they have a high probability of being right about their opinion. But Joe Doe or Jane Doe are not too good at detecting sincerity. Humans are not too good.
Mm-hmm.
And so our AI is already way better than the average human.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, if you're in the case of an FBI profiler doing an interview with a suspect bombing terrorism, this person is probably very, very well trained and the stakes are very high, and he or she will be probably better than AI. But in average, at scale, and AI is never tired. You may be good someday, but we all have our bad days. Keep that in mind, we have doctors who say, well, I don't need that to assess my patient. I know my patient. I can look at them in the eyes. Yeah, true. Most of the time, true. But keeping the data and being able to go back to the data, and it becomes part of your CRM if you're talking about business relation or patient record, it could help It's objective data. It's not 100%. We're not wired into people's brain. We're not a polygraph. But there are things that we as humans do, as Ashish was saying. We've moved the new normal, as the CEO of Salesforce was saying. Nobody's going back to the office now. We all know that some things get done better when we are all together in the same room. So most Silicon Valley companies and others have at least done a partial telework now. Everybody's going to the office at least a day a week or whatever. Depends on the company culture and where the people are located. But it has become the new normal. Many people get hired online and then they start working online and they have not moved from their living room.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's becoming the new normal, and it's saving a lot of money, and it's good for the environment. We're not burning fuel and spending time in traffic jams and what have you not. So it's here to stay. And the lawyers were very reluctant at the beginning, but now it's becoming standard. Witness deposition over a Zoom call, and how do you analyze that? AI can help. It's a new kind of AI. When you Google around, I wouldn't say we are the only game in town, but it's quite new. It's a new frontier of AI, and I'm sure it's going to be integrated into video calling system. And again, it's going to be a layer of data that helps you take a better decision. It's not going to take the decision for humans, hired, not hired, or close a client, don't close a client. We're not going to take a decision for anybody, but we're going to provide them data without which they may take a worse decision.
Impressive technology, and I'm seeing the requirement for this particular technology could be immense. Your total addressable market, TAM, could be incredibly big. Of course, you must be focusing. It looks like that you are focusing on more legal professions and maybe HR professionals, etc. But just imagine being able to connect this into a more physical products, such as phone systems, being able to connect it to legacy electronic.
I mean, you can think about, right? I mean, right now our focus is primarily B2B, but think
Right.
about all the phishing calls that you get. I mean, the
Yeah.
spear phishing activities that are happening,
Yeah.
where I mean, elderly citizens are getting scammed by the scammers sitting, I mean, around halfway around the world,
Yeah.
trying to extort money from you. I mean, all of that can potentially be addressed. I mean, and then more and more communications are becoming, video and not just audio. But yeah, I mean, the applications of this technology are immense. I mean, but right now we want to focus on at least solving something where the problem is immediate and it's kind of really hurting the business growth or business efficiency. And this is kind of what you mentioned. And then I don't know if you saw on the news, right, where all these engineers who are, when they're doing interview, they have this AI screen open, and then
Yes.
the interviewer's questions are fed into AI, and then it generates a response, and you're actually reading from it. So actually, we can detect if somebody, I mean, whether they're reading from the screen and it's pre-populated script, or they're actually understand the question, have it in their background, and are able to talk about it with the real authenticity.
Use a beast to kill a beast.
Yeah. But that's going to be true, right? I mean, we are going to. I mean, that's where kind of going back to your earlier thought. Right? Where does AI really lead us, right? Where for me, AI is going to be the enabling technology, and then it will become an underlying technology that we adopt in everything that we do.
Yeah.
Right? It is just going to help us be more efficient, be more productive, and streamline the way we are doing things, the way we do business, the way we carry out our day-to-day life. And this is kind of where we are headed as from Voicera's perspective. Right? We want to also kind of really give you those kind of insights where those serve as a guardrails and saying, okay, maybe this is the interesting bit that you need to focus on because this is where we believe this was out of the norm.
Interesting. Now, where are you with the product roadmap?
So the whole vision is not to just do sincerity. We have a family. Our approach is to analyze and truly understand with emotional intelligence any communication. So that the big vision is not just the sincerity, it's also the emotional dimension, which is different, although emotions and the level of sincerity can be related through facial expressions. And then we've seen the commoditization of large language models. So our vision is to put the whole thing together. So with the LLM, you can summarize, you basically understand what people are saying, but you don't know how they say it. So there is the emotional and the sincerity dimension that we are adding. So that's the big vision. Now, what do we? It's a big animal to ship. LLM. It's like ChatGPT. So are we going to go to market with ChatGPT? I don't think so. But and emotion is not really a commodity, but you have all the Google and Amazon providing that as a web service. So we decided to go to market with the most innovative, differentiated product. But the whole vision remained is to be able to give insights to people on what is being said and then offer a layer of emotions and sincerity so that they can drill down and say, show me the moments where my customer is talking about the contract renewal and is low on sincerity. You see, so that you can improve the lead scoring, the revenue forecast of the company because you have imagine a team of sales of 1,000 salespeople shooting from the hip on their revenue forecast, and then you miss your target, and then your company loses $10 billion in market cap if you're a big one. So the big vision is that the sincerity is live, and we decided, as I mentioned, to go first to the market, and we're now starting pilots, enterprise pilots, with sincerity in the legal profession and in the HR profession. So there are two pilots now, and we're trying to get a few more pilots. And as we are doing these pilots, we are iterating on the product. The product now is evolving fast, but driven. The roadmap is driven by the customers, which is a good place to be because you you are listening to the customer. We are Voicera. The idea of Voicera is the voice of the customer. So we're listening to customer, driving the roadmap. Our goal is to have a good level of traction in Q1 to raise a big seed round, and then of course grow faster, always faster, always higher.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, as Chandra was saying, right, today, if you look at most organizations, they have probably two kind of measurements of their customer satisfaction, right? I mean, whether it's an NPS score of some sort, right? They do maybe 6 monthly survey, they get some feedback, then they make the assessment saying, oh, we have an NPS score of 70. That means, we're in a good place. I mean, but that shouldn't be the case. You should know how your customer is feeling about you and you're, interacting with you without having to do the survey. I mean, I think that's where the power of Voicera can really be helpful, where you can understand based on and analyze every communication, every email that is exchanged, every chat that is that you have with your customer, every video call, every audio call. I mean, and to really understand and determine where is your customer based on the emotions that they've expressed, based on kind of the data, the written word as well as the spoken word. And this is what we are going to bring, and really get the insights from all the channels of communication, along with your kind of unspoken word in a way, right? So this is where you can get the true measure of your customer sentiment and really make the decisions that is going to help you kind of streamline your growth objectives.
Now, let's talk about the ethics and privacy of your technologies and maybe overall on AI. What are the ethical considerations that you want to prioritize while developing this AI technology, and what are the privacy concerns that you have run into, and how are you going to deal with them?
Yeah, customer data. I mean, we are touching the customer data, right? So of course, I mean, privacy is top of our mind, right? We have built our technology with privacy by design, right? Where we understand that whenever somebody's sharing the data with us, I mean, we don't have to own that data. That data can totally reside within the infrastructure of our customer organization. We can run our models in that environment and then do the data analysis, and we don't have to see that data. Right? All we are doing is kind of fine tuning our our model by saying that, okay, this was, you identified this as this, but now we really mean, this means this.
Mm.
That's the only thing that we are going to do in the customer environment. All the analysis, all the data, all the output is going to be in your environment. It's for you to consume and you to understand and kind of take the action on. And we are just going to be the enabler, right? So
Enable.
in that sense, we definitely respect and honor the privacy, as well as we've investing into bolstering the security envelope around the product, right? Whether we run it in a public cloud, with kind of the measures on the cybersecurity perspective, whether you run it on a private cloud. I mean, we will adhere to all the kind of concepts and the security recommendations from the kind of your information security teams.
Thank you. Now, it's a saturated market right now. So many AI products are out there in the market. Everyone is riding the wave. How do you differentiate your product, and how do you find the product market fit? I think it looks like that you found the product market fit, but what was leading to that? Perhaps Chandra, you can answer that question. What are your thoughts? Oh, Ashish, either way is fine.
Yeah, so I would say AI is a means to an end. So right now, Kleiner Perkins and Sequoia, 80% of the decks of startups that they receive are about AI. Everybody's doing something with AI. It's a means to an end. Not all problems can be solved with AI. It's not but in our case, why are we different? Because we are doing something very different. We're solving the trust in business, this non-verbal communication analysis, this behavior, this um, psychological, non-behavioral psychology. So this is, analyzing facial expressions, tone of voice, combining that to give a score on sincerity, doing that also on the emotional dimension. This is new.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so AI is a means to an end. It's, we were, do we buy the domain via Voicera.ai? Well, it's kind of overrated. 5 years ago or 3 years ago, when they launched it, the top level domain.ai. Wow, we need to be top.ai.
Mhm.
Now nobody cares anymore. I think it's just a means to an end. The .com is cool, and so are the others. So yeah, and in terms of product market fit, I would say we are close, but we're not there yet. I think the pilots are just starting. We need to have the real voice of the customer saying yes, it saved us tons of money. Now we are integrated in our workflow for recruitment or witness deposition analysis, to define the line of questioning of the witnesses. We need a validation like that to be able to raise a solid seed round. We need the customer validation. The word traction is a bit overrated and can mean anything. For me, it's enterprise customers where there's a potential of at least, let's say, a few $100,000, if not $1 million of ARR. That's our target. Have a pilot customer who says, thumbs up, I'm ready to go. And then, okay. So then it's product market fit. We are a bit early for that. We've done a lot of R&D. So we have a family of AI models which are ready to go. But as I mentioned, we wanted to go first with sincerity because it's so different.
Mhm.
And it's answering a question that for today there is no answer for that. I mean, except if you put a polygraph on everybody's living room when they
Yeah.
enter a Zoom call, but nobody would want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the R&D has been taking place for quite a while before we went to market. So there was a lot of work behind the scene that we didn't show to the world in terms of product that people can try. There is a demo of emotion analytics on our website, but we're not going to the market yet with that product.
Mhm.
So that took us a while to do it with a good level of precision, accuracy. Some of our models can run, I mean, all our models can run in a private cloud. Ashish was mentioning that it's very important because we are accessing very sensitive data, whether it's witness deposition or customer sales call negotiations. So probably customers will not want a SaaS where all the analytics is done on our servers. They will
Mhm.
want it to run in their private cloud. So we
Mhm.
have already built our server, which contain our AI, to be deployable in Google's GCP, also in Amazon AWS, so that any customers we meet, also Microsoft, of course, we can implement it on their private cloud. So that's the privacy aspect, which is of course fundamental.
Mm,
Yeah, so that's where we are. Yeah, early stage a bit, but let's say with a solid product ready to go to market now.
mm. You don't have to answer this question because it could be a little bit confidential at this time. Are you building purely on LLM, or are you going to have, or do you already have some sort of a data set that you built in to your system? Maybe some scientific data set that you bought from one of the universities about from maybe anthropological anthropology researchers, etc. Or are you purely LLM?
So no, LLM, we are basing our LLM on an open LLM from Meta. We're not reinventing that wheel. I don't think it would make sense. It's always buy versus build, and where are we unique? We're not unique by bringing yet another LLM to the world. Of course, we're training it with some of our data sets, but to improve it. Where we are unique is on the sincerity. It's a combination of, I mean, that's where our secret sauce is. It's a combination of synthetic data set, publicly available data set, and private data set that we have created ourselves. And
Mhm,
so that's where the USP, the unique selling point, lies.
And then
mhm,
some of these videos, we already done analysis, and you can check it out on our website. I mean, and your audience can too, where you can see, somebody has lied, for what they did for a living, and our model was able to catch that. And
mhm,
then again, so a lot of we claim that our model is about 70+% accurate. What that means is, I mean, again, you you're for me, what's important is, again, you don't want to have false positives and you don't want to have false negatives, right? I mean,
right.
if you have both in an excessive, then you have a problem. Then your model is not going to work.
Yeah.
So our goal is to make sure that we are reducing both,
Mhm,
while making sure that, hey, if even if you, I mean, it's not going to be 100% accurate every time, but you want to, as I said, the goal is to kind of help you streamline and make your workflow more efficient, rather than you having to spend hours on doing something that can be time consuming and expensive. So that's where I believe our differentiation is. And with, as Chandra was saying, that we're with sincerity, you're going to get the insights that otherwise it would take you hours and hours worth of work to really get
mhm,
through and parse through all the data.
mhm. Now, taking a step away from AI and technology, let's talk about the entrepreneurship in this market. You are building a product in a tough and volatile market. How was the innovation from a few years ago, post dot-com bubbles, let's say about 2010 to 2020? Uh, what's the difference? And I'm sure there's a huge difference in funding, and that's what I'm hearing, at least in Toronto, in Canada. Uh, what do you see? What's the difference?
I mean, the dot-com days were very irrational days. I mean, we all know it. So, you just need a business plan with lots of banners on your website that people would click frantically. Um, Now, investors, and they are smart about that, they know that it's cheap to build an MVP. In
Mhm,
our case, it was a bit more complex because we did a lot of R&D, but okay, we've instead of going to raise capital before we had an MVP, we decided to bootstrap the company. And it's also the profile of the team. We are all accomplished professionals uh, who've also been quite successful in their careers. So we have some savings, and we said, let's not waste our time on investors. Let's waste all our energy on building a product and focusing on customers. So of course, we did some pivots. We started with, but so the goal is not to investors now they expect an MVP with traction to open their wallet. And now the wallet can be 2 million, can be 5, can be 10. And you see, the first rounds are bigger than they used to be. The spray and pray, many people lost a lot of money. I mean, spray and pray like 500K for any company which would pitch something more or less half baked. That's gone too, huh?
mhm, mhm,
Yeah, definitely you see the investment landscape change, right? Where you and if I'm an investor, I definitely want to make sure that I'm investing money, and again, I have trust in the founders. So this is
Yeah.
another use case for Voicera sincerity, right? Where I as an investor can really assess the sincerity of the founders and see their commitment, and then make my decision based on whether I believe the market, whether I believe that this is a real problem that needs to be solved, and whether I believe that this is the right team to really work and solve that problem. So we can kind of help you or aid you in that decision making process ourselves. And then I think this is where we believe that once we have some kind of momentum around what we are doing, that would be the right time for us to really go back and have that investment conversation.
Now, we're coming to the end of the conversation. I think it's too longer than expected, but it's amazing. And thank you so much for taking the time and being patient. The conversation is excellent and lots of learning from the conversation with both of you. One of the things I wanted to ask you, one of the couple of last questions, you both are accomplished professionals with decades of experience. How do you keep motivated to keep starting up?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the most exciting thing is to work with an amazing team, people who are, I mean, the people with whom I work with, and building something unique that can make an impact. That's what excites me. And yeah, until it happens, I will continue to work. I'm an optimistic. Of course, I've burned myself a few times already. Um, but I think it's all about the team. If you don't think the product through, but you have the right team, the team will find the right product for the right market. If you don't have the right team, you'll never succeed. So I think the team. I'm feeling, and I'm grateful to Ashish and the rest of the team. I mean, waking up and working together and remotely for some piece of paper that was signed over a PDF and meeting over a few Zooms, and we built trust like that. And we didn't have sincerity detector. We decided to build it.
Yeah. No, I
Right.
mean, to echo what Chandra's saying, really kind of for me, it's the impact that we can make, right? I mean, if this dream that we are dreaming of is really enabling trust in business communication, if that becomes reality, think about the time that we are going to be able to save. Think about kind of the you know efficiency that we are going to bring to people's lives and their workflows. I mean, the impact is humongous, and I believe that we can make that change. And for me, that's the driving factor, is like, how can we make that impact to the entire kind of community that we are dealing with. I mean, whether working with you or working with a doctor who's trying to determine something based on what their patient is saying, right? I mean, there the applications are enormous.
Despite the lack, uh, let's talk about technology adoption or AI adoption for your user case for the industry. There's still a lack of digital fluency. Many businesses want to transform, improve, and to be profitable. What are your advice as AI product developers for those businesses, whether they are adopting a sincerity technology, AI, or any technology into their business fabric?
Well, there was this wave, this tidal wave of the LLM, ChatGPT. We raised actually a pre-seed round in Erie, Pennsylvania, early at the very beginning of the company. And I had the privilege to meet with the chief executive of Erie Insurance, which is a Fortune 500. So that company stopped all implementation of LLM, and rightfully so, because you feed an LLM with the data of your customers. And the LLM is improving, so the IP of someone else is improving with your data or your customers' data. Is
Yeah,
it even legal?
yeah,
And people were starting to feed and throwing things inside ChatGPT and get pretty good stuff back. But ChatGPT, in the meantime, which is there for the business, um, is crunching your data, your customers' data, and improving their model, and the IP goes with them. So people have been very, there was not enough kind of legal analysis of all the implications. And I'm not someone to say to pull the brake. I think companies should try and experiment. That's the only way to learn. And even making mistakes. The only people who don't make mistakes are the people who don't do anything. So mistakes are okay. Repeating the same mistake, then it's a problem, of course. But so I think companies really need to spend the time reading the fine print of all these terms of use of all these online businesses, because sometimes they assume making an ass of you and me, that it's safe or it's okay or it's legal. Sometimes it's not. So it's very delicate. We have to analyze really, and that's why we are fully in favor of the private cloud solution down the road. Right now we're not working on that model, but down the road, early next year, we'll be in a private cloud model. So that means that our customers, with their customers' data, will run it on their servers with our AI, but it will not send anything to our backend and so on. So these aspects of privacy and where is the intellectual property going are very complex, and I mean they need to be carefully analyzed by businesses before they jump on the enthusiastic bandwagon.
Ashish, thank you so much. Thank you, Chandra and Ashish. Thank you so much for sharing expertise and insights on AI and LLM, product-based businesses, and technical product marketing. Ashish, from your perspective, your input has been invaluable. I greatly appreciate your time and willingness to share your knowledge with us. And if you have any more questions, if you want to reach out, we'll reach out to you again. And at the same time, we'll share your LinkedIn's through our media where people can reach you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Waruna. It was great to chat with you.
Chandra, thanks so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye now.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Sixcast. We'd love to connect with you, so feel free to comment or reshare. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Six Senses. Bye for now.